Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Schneider, former SWAT operator, U.S. Marshal Task Force guy, husband of 17 years, father of an amazing 14-year-old son, and 8-figure multiple serial entrepreneur. You are watching the Blueprint Burn It Down podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Burn Down Podcast. Today's guest, he was in law enforcement. He was a part of the SWAT team. He was our narcotics detective. He was the U.S. Marshal. And then he said, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. That man is Matt Schneider. What's going on, brother?
What's up, fellas? Thank you so much for having me.
Hey.
Thanks for the cigar as well.
We want it, we've been doing it more and more recently. We like our guests to have our cigar while we're talking to them so we can understand what they like, if they like it, if they don't like it. So we know we sent you two. You already smoked one, rightfully so, and you saved this one.
Naturally. Yeah, naturally. Yeah, the first one didn't last more than, probably got it by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4:30 tops. I was sitting in the backyard enjoying it.
Love it.
So yeah, it's a great stick. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Well, Matt, thank you so much, first and foremost, for joining us on the Burn Down Podcast. We know that you have quite a busy schedule, I can imagine. I mean, looking at your track record here,
what the heck's an 8-figure entrepreneur?
An 8-figure entrepreneur. I can't imagine what your schedule must be like. So we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to sit here with us on the Burn Down.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure. I'm really happy to be here.
And the background behind us getting connected with Matt was our good friend Ray Cashcare, previous 2-time Burn Down podcast guest. He in our second interview, he's like, "Yeah, my friend Matt Schneider, you got to get him on." And then quickly we said, "Hey, hook us up." Bada bing, bada boom, and here we are. So shout out to Ray Cashcare for putting us in touch with Matt Schneider.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I talked to Ray earlier today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he and I got a cool thing in the works that we may chat about a little bit later on if the conversation goes that direction. But Ray is he's an incredible human. It doesn't surprise me that it took 2 episodes. The guy's got such a big, personality. It would take at least 2 episodes to get a good portion of what Ray Cashcare brings to the table.
And he grew a lot. And he grew a lot between the first time we spoke to him, which was like November 2020 or 2021, one of those years, and then we just spoke to him, this year, I think back in April or May of 23, and he grew out of what he was doing. He's a business owner now. He's starting all different types of coaching and public speaking ventures. So good for him. I'm really proud to see him.
Yeah, it is cool. I met Ray when he was still with the agency, and because he and I and a few others were the co-founders of the project. And so, when I met Ray, his skill set was very focused and very particular in an area that didn't really have much place in civilian life. Right. And, but he's a smart dude and he is hungry. And, as you can imagine, being a SEAL, like losing or anything close to losing is not an option.
Oh yeah.
So, he just started hanging around the right people, paying attention. The dude is a student of learning. I will say that about Ray too, is when you talk about people who've got a CEO mindset and a white belt mentality, Ray Cashcare is one. He does not let the fact that he's been a SEAL and done a lot of things get in the way of being a student.
Yeah, he makes you want to run through a brick wall. I'll tell you that.
Easily.
After our first conversation, we're just sitting here trying to be like sponges and just absorb all of the knowledge and try to capture those golden nuggets. And at the end of it, I'm like, damn, I want to get in the ring right now. I'm just fired up right now.
The first time I got introduced to him from my buddy. He was watching the show The Selection back in when I went on the History Channel back in the day.
Take a picture for Ray. Go ahead. I'm just taking one for Ray right here.
Yes, sir. What up, Ray? And my buddy was like, "Yo, I got to put the show on The Selection, yada, yada, yada." And I was like, "Oh, this is a cool show." And then a few weeks later, he's like, "Hey, that guy Ray Cashcare, I follow him on Instagram." Like, he walked into the office and he's like, "I'm like, who are you listening to?" Like yelling at 8 o'clock in the morning. He's like, "Oh, I'm watching the guy Ray Cashcare on his Instagram live for the guy from The Selection. He's a cigar guy." And then one thing led to another, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll come on." So that was that.
Yeah. Ray's so cool. he not to make this about Ray, but he'll get off on the fact that Ray, we love you, dude. That's why we're spending the first 25 minutes talking about you. But speaking about Ray and cigars, during the project, there's a point where these dudes crawl through the pit for hours and hours. And the pit, when I tell you the pit is dirt, it's rock, it's not fun. And, I look over one time and there's Ray just yelling at me. I'm like, what's he yelling at? And he's yelling at me with a cigar in his mouth. And he's just handling business, man. It was the coolest thing to see. There's Ray just giving all of his focused energy on a guy, but also casually smoking a cigar at the same time. It was really impressive to watch. I'm like, that dude's my hero.
Yeah, I would love to see a video of that.
Out of nowhere.
That's badass, dude.
Yeah, that's great.
That's badass, man.
And so you got a nice ambiance going on behind you. Where are you?
So live in Idaho, little suburb called Eagle.
Okay.
And it's a gorgeous neighborhood that we're in. There's fishing ponds all throughout. We got like 26 fishing ponds.
Are you from Idaho?
Originally, yeah.
Okay.
So grew up in eastern Idaho, Idaho Falls. My wife, she's from Middleton, so in this area.
Let's take it all the way back, okay? Because there's a lot to unpack here. I mean, going from, like you said, you were in SWAT, Narcotics, U.S. Marshal, decided to leave all of that and become an entrepreneur, and now you've got this 8-figure business that is just continuing to grow. So let's go all the way back. So who is Matt Schneider? Right? How did you tell us about your early childhood? How'd you get into the SWAT team, the narcotics? How'd you get into protecting the people, U.S. Marshal? Let's take it all the way back.
All right, I'll hit the main points. I'm 41. I'll be 42 this month, so that's a lot of lifespan there. The highlights are this: I grew up. First 3 years, my mom was married to my biological father, where he was a raging alcoholic, wife-beating drunk. She took her last beating when I was 3. She was pregnant with my little brother. He was 7 months in her stomach. And then my older brother was 6 years older than I was, so he was 9. He beat the shit out of her. He passed out. She scooped up what she could grab in her arms, threw it in the car. We lived in San Francisco Bay Area at the time, and my grandmother lived in Southern California. So we drove that way. My grandmother didn't have a place for us to go. My mom somehow, she got scrappy when her back is against the wall. Sometimes that's when we perform at our best. And she was going to figure it out. That's what moms do. We found ourselves living in a little houseboat. And when I say houseboat, it's one of those boats where you can kind of go below deck and there's a little living quarter in there. So there was the 3.5 of us that lived in there. I don't know how long we were there for. There's some pictures, of me getting out, it's just a little tyke. And I do recall this though. I recall my mom and my father meeting up at a Target. He brought some candy for my brother and I, and I didn't realize this until later on, but the conversation they were having was my father telling my mom that if she agreed not to charge child support, he would write off all rights to his boys. And she took that deal, and I didn't hear from that guy for a long, long time, and many years. So that was my early childhood was such that my mom she did not pick right men, men that were, had any kind of moral compass. In fact, they defaulted to either the bottle or some sort of drug. So there are a lot of men coming and going. She ended up marrying a lot of guys. She's currently on her 9th divorce as we speak.
Wow.
She did start to pick better guys as time went on, but I grew up in an environment where I was constantly restarting, constantly, having to pick up and move, add friends, meet new friends, leave friends. But later on, that served me really well in my SWAT because of the personality that I developed, I think, as a result. So you kind of fast forward. Grew up in Idaho. We moved to Idaho when she married her, I want to say 5th, maybe 6th. The guy that she married twice and divorced twice. That's the guy that brought us to Idaho. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we moved to Idaho. Great state. Don't move here if you're not already here. The word got out how amazing Idaho is. Now people are flooding in, so just stop.
Really?
Don't move here if you're not
one of
from
those
here.
states, huh? Okay.
If you're not from here, stop. Just stop. No, it's gorgeous. People come, they see it, and they put an offer on a house. I was very ill prepared for life, though, fellas. As you can probably imagine, the revolving door of men. My mom's focus was in two different places. First place was in the relationship that were either starting or dissolving. And the other was my little sister, because there ended up being 5 of us siblings. My little sister, she ended up being severely mentally handicapped because the umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck during birth. So she was deprived of oxygen for a period of time where she was like mentally disabled. And so my mom's attention went to her. Phenomenal mom in regards to always making sure that her kids had what they needed, and her full mission in life became really taking care of my little sister. I go to college to see if I can, if law enforcement's my thing. So in Idaho State University, there's a law enforcement program, and the program want to see if I would enjoy it. And just to give you guys a sense of how ill prepared I was for life, and just how long I've come, or how far I've come. I started college 2 weeks or so into college, get a call from the registrar's office, who says, "Hey, so you're enrolled in classes. We love that. How do you plan on paying for it?" And I'm all, I kind of pause. I'm like,
I wasn't.
Yeah, I'm like, so you're telling me there's a cost to come to school here? And like, she had to think I was joking, right? So she was just as surprised by my answer as I was by the question and the call itself. So I run down, get an emergency student loan, end up paying the tuition by student loans, and then end up graduating that program. It was a 9-month program. So I got certified in law enforcement. That's what kind of took me down that path. Continued my education, degree in psychology, and then I was hired with the Ada County Sheriff's Office in Idaho in 2006, and just did a variety of roles over the course of 10 years before I became an entrepreneur.
Wow. So did you just kind of pick law enforcement just out of a whim, say, hey, I'm going to try this? Or was there something that you saw that kind of drew you into law enforcement?
So that's a stupid story.
We love stupid stories.
There are no come on.
It's a stupid story. So I'm a bag boy at Albertsons, right? And I'm in high school, getting ready to graduate, and I'm bagging groceries as one of my first jobs, and I'm dating the bakery girl, Nicole. And the spark just wasn't there between Nicole and I. The fireworks weren't there. But Lincoln, the checker, he's like, "Hey, what's up with Nicole?" I said, "Well, nothing. There's nothing coming up." He's like, "Well, would you do an intro?" I said, "Sure, of course." So I introduced my girlfriend to another guy, and they end up getting married.
No.
Yeah, they are getting married, and he becomes a cop. And so I guess it was like a thank you for introducing him to his wife. My girlfriend becoming his wife. He took me on a ride along, and nothing happened. But I was sitting in his car, and I'm like, dude, this is pretty fucking cool, man. Like, this is like, there's a lot of buttons and switches and stuff in here. That uniform looks cool. You guys got to remember, like, I never had a steady father figure that was really there to raise us boys and teach us how to be men, right? So I'm sitting across this guy. I'm like, man, this is kind of what an alpha feels like, and like what like a dominating presence in the community feels like, and but also nothing happened to where he needed to do anything other than just he represented this person that would stand in the way of evil. And I was like, there's a lot of people out there that need protecting, because my siblings and I, we took some beatings early on in life. And I remember distinctly watching my older brother take some beatings by the guy my mom married after my dad. And he never hit me for whatever reason, but my older brother, he did. And so I was like, dude, this might be something I want to do. So that just sparked the interest, which then led to going to college and checking it out. And I ended up like, I like this ability to stand and be that force for good and take out evil. So
the lack of a steady protector in your early childhood led you to become the protector of others later on in life.
That's what drew me to it. Once I started to understand the profession, I wasn't one that grew up like wanting to be a cop. I knew nothing about anything. I mean, like I didn't know college cost money.
Yeah,
right?
You just saw the buttons. You're like, I want to push these buttons on a daily basis.
I want to push the buttons. Yeah, like this looks cool. And so asking him questions and understanding more about the profession and stuff and the why behind it. And I was like, yeah, that seems cool. And it was a great fit for me. I really did enjoy that time that I spent, the 10 years in law enforcement.
So tell us about, so now you get into law enforcement, right? And obviously you didn't just jump right into SWAT. You didn't just jump into narcotics, right? So what led you down these different paths in law enforcement?
So I started off in the jail, spent about a year as a detention deputy, which is not where I wanted to start, but that's where they needed the help. And I look back at it now and while I wanted to go straight to patrol, because that's, every episode of Cops you watch, they don't spend more than 10 seconds in the jail, right? They're out there running around and doing cop stuff. But as I look back at it now, I didn't have much interaction with the criminal element, and I didn't understand the criminal mindset. And the jail is a place where it's in a controlled environment where tons of shit happens, but you've always got backup like right there, and things can't get too out of control, especially in a jail. A jail is very different than the prison, because in the jail they're going through the legal process still. Like they just haven't been able to bond out for whatever reason, but they still got to go to court and stand in front of a judge. So they're generally on their best behavior most of the time. In prison, that's a different story. Once they're sentenced to life, whatever. Now, like they're playing by different rules. So, but there was plenty of fights. There was plenty of opportunities for like physical confrontation, verbal de-escalation, all that stuff, and to cut my teeth in the criminal element. So just after a year, I went to patrol, and I spent a few years doing that. Really enjoyed that. But what I found I really, really enjoyed was like the dynamic shift, like the things when they started going sideways and there was like big problems. Not only was it just like a big adrenaline rush, but it was this sense of being able to really make a big difference on a bigger scale to help people. If there was, people being held against their will or people, run around with guns. And I noticed that I was able to perform at a higher level than a lot of the others that would start to lose their cool or lose their ability to calculate things quickly. And I started to tie that into how I grew up, because of the fact that I was always doing these start, stop, resets, and always knowing that things would always shake out, they'd always work out. And I was always introduced to new, evolving, uncertain dynamics that I was always able to navigate through. I applied that to law enforcement. I applied that to the critical incident world, where I was able to just keep a cool head, and nothing really was able to get me overly excited. It's when people get overly excited, law enforcement or others, that get overexcited, that they start operating off of emotion. And that's where shit goes sideways quick. Sure. And so, after a few years, I tried out for SWAT, and I made that. And I spent 5 years as an entry operator on the SWAT team, and so it was one of the initial guys to make entry into the space after the breach. And I loved the shit out of that. I was involved in a lot of different things with that. And it's the front row seat to literally the craziest show on earth.
Yeah, I'm sure.
What does SWAT stand for again? Special Weapons and Tactics. Special Weapons and Tactics. I knew it stood for something. When shit hits the fan, you're the, like, somebody's robbing a bank and holding up the bank hostage.
You got the shield ready to run.
You're the guys that go in.
Yeah, basically it's SWAT is who the police call when they need help. That's what we tell them. Like, so when the police need help,
you're the backup. You're the help for the police. Now that's badass. That's a badass.
We're 911 for 911.
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
That's funny. 911 for 911.
That sounds like a commercial. Like, if you want to join the SWAT, we're the 911 that the cops call.
So is that movie SWAT with like LL Cool J and Morgan Freeman?
Oh, spot on.
Yeah,
is it
spot on? Oh, spot on. No, it's nothing close.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, wow. I mean, usually people are like, nah, it's all fake shit. That's not even fucking close.
Fake. Yeah.
So is there?
I can't watch that stuff.
Is there a movie that is pretty accurate? that you know of?
No, not that I know of. I mean, they're generally so far away from anything legit that, you know, they generally don't have actual operators that play those roles.
Right.
And so no, I can't think of an instance where, in fact, of the only time I've heard that a movie, people got it really close to being right in a movie was in Zero Dark 30.
Okay.
You know, but those guys, I think those guys were actual operators.
Yes.
But if I was told correctly, you know, everything from like the timing to the, you know, the actual, the tactics look super clean, super legit. And so I think they actually had operators come in and.
So how did you like going from SWAT in your face, like high intensity, to more of a drug narcotics detective? Because that's a little more like, you know, a little more play, a little more cognitive thinking, a little more laid back in a sense. You know, so how was that transition?
I did both actually.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He busted down the doors and sniffed out the drugs.
Yeah, buddy.
yeah. That was what was cool, is both on for Narcs and when I did the U.S. Marshal Task Force. If there was warrants that got written or, you know, something kicked off because either one of those roles, I got to immediately transition into the SWAT role, which was a very common, you know, instance. So, but yeah, few teams around the country, SWAT teams are full-time dedicated teams. Big cities like LAPD and, you know, like Chicago and some of these real big problematic areas, they have full-time 24-hour SWAT teams. The vast majority of the country have, like teams that are just always on standby. They're always on call.
You know what? Now that you say that, I have a cousin who met, Sean. He's a state trooper up in Connecticut, but he's also part of the SWAT team. So sometimes when we'll be up there, you know, we'll be hanging out and it'll be like 11 o'clock. He's like, all right, I got to go to work. But then he's not in his state trooper uniform. He's like in a decked out, like, he's like, yeah, I got to deal with some shit right now. I was like, all right, be safe, brother.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's when the feel good chemicals start to flow through you, knowing it's about to go down. Yeah.
So I mean,
I did both.
What's going through your head? Like, what's the mentality? Like, you're in you're like in a trap house or something, and there's dudes that behind there with guns or stuff. Like, what's going through your mind? How do you get the courage to bulldoze that door and just pray for the best?
Yeah, because I imagine, I mean, you can't not be scared, right? Like, I imagine you're scared. It's a fearful situation. So what's going through your mind at that point?
Yeah, man. I mean, fear is what keeps us alive. If somebody tells you that they're not afraid or they don't feel a sense of fear, they're either like a sociopath or they're fucking lying. Because you do not know what's going to happen once you breach that door. And you know, we always work for the element of surprise, but you know, we don't always get it. So, you know, there was definitely a handful of instances where things got real hairy real quick and definitely didn't go to plan. It's like Mike Tyson says, you know, your plan is only as good to get punched in the nose, and we got punched in the nose more than a few times. And, you just you adapt, right? So, when you're on a special operations team, you learn to adapt and flow and think and just process information and fall back onto your training. So we train constantly, and the thousands and tens of thousands of reps, you would just find yourself falling back into it, and everybody would just do their part. Everybody had a job to do, and everybody would just do it. And if we did it, the other guy would just have to get super lucky in order to affect any kind of casualty or problem that we couldn't handle. And they get lucky from time to time, but you know, we are overwhelming, you know, approach, speed, surprise, violence of action is what we would leverage.
Gotcha.
But yeah, man, it was always a thrill to a certain degree. Like, you're like, okay, it's game on, and you just kind of sort it out. It just shakes out how it shakes out. And
so
I loved it.
Was there any like techniques or things that you would do to, like, if you felt that your heart rate was getting, or if you felt like your emotions were getting, was there anything that you did to
best practices?
Yeah, like to kind of calm yourself down? Was there like a ritual? Okay, I close my eyes, or I breathe 5 times, or was there anything that you did to kind of,
harness,
kind of set yourself up before going in?
Yeah, dude, it's just breathing. It's always breathing. So if you ever felt yourself going into, fight or flight will start to cause the short, like rapid, like shallow breathing. And we were taught to recognize when that was starting to set in, and then start to get the deep breathing in, and just get the oxygen flowing back in. And that has a way of taking you out of fight or flight. Yeah, it was always just a sense of breathing. And then too, as time would go on and the more sets and reps you get, the more familiar the environment becomes. I mean, it's a different structure, different floor plan, different layout, but you've done it 1,000 times. And now it's this is a center fed, or this is a corner fed. Here's an open threat, closed threat. And you just start to do your job, and you just fall kind of into rhythm. It's like jujitsu, I don't know if you guys do jujitsu or not, but it's like competing in jujitsu. You're like nervous stepping onto the mat. As soon as you go hands on with the other guy, all those nerves go away. Like then you start going into operation mode,
like a muscle memory type of thing.
Yeah, I can see that, and I imagine that you took that practice or that technique into every aspect of life, right? If you're in a business meeting, or if something else is going on that you feel yourself getting, it's just as simple as deep breaths, slow the heart rate down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I can imagine. I would say, I've not done jujitsu, and I don't think he does. At least I haven't seen it. Maybe maybe he's a closet jujitsu guy. But I can relate to sports, right? I played sports. You played sports, and you get that it's not even like a nerve. It may be a little bit of nervousness, but it's like that adrenaline that's going before the game, before the tip off. But then after the first down and back, I played basketball, so after the first down and back, everything's just kind of, you're in the rhythm. Now you're in the rhythm. I'm not thinking about shit. I'm not thinking about crossovers. You're just in the rhythm, right?
Yeah.
And I would say that the nerves are good, right? Because it means that you care about what's going on. If you're not nervous about it, then you don't care.
Yeah, like he said, you're a psychopath.
Right.
You're lying to yourself.
But that's good that you said, like, even right here, from somebody who was like, for somebody who came from the background that you had come from, right? Multiple, not one solid father figure, had men that were challenged, that had struggles, from SWAT team, from Narcotics, from these big business entrepreneurs, to, I just lost my train of thought, but to for the fear.
About Ray.
For the fear to not. It's not that you're not afraid. You're afraid,
right?
But it's being able to control the fear, not letting that fear and the emotion overwhelm you. It's settle down. It is what it is, and move forward with it.
My uncle always used to tell me, fear means false evidence appearing real. So anytime I kind of get scared, or nervous, I'll be like, all right, it's just it's something you could take on. Like I learned through life, growing up, that breathing does help with a lot of different things. When you're extremely nervous, when your heart is pumping, just take a deep breath. If you're in an argument, just settle down for 10 seconds, take a couple of deep breaths, and it's like a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, where I was going was all the different things that happen in your life. You had so many different instances where you could feel fear, where you were afraid, and you just learn, listen, I'm going to be afraid. It's part of life. Get over it, right? Yeah. You got to get over it.
Yeah, and fear is really it is truly just anticipating pain, right? It's like that's what generates fear. That's what generates anxiety. And so if you can manage the fact that you can maintain control and maintain dictating the outcome to the fullest extent that you can, we would fall back on tactics, right? Like slow is smooth and smooth is fast. We went into it fully prepared, because there's that big piece of preparation. Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. And so, when it comes to fearing something, well, we would mitigate the risk as much as possible, but then we also would go in knowing we're accepting a certain amount of risk. And, but there is applicability to all of our lives when it comes to certain things like slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Because people would just be willing to take like a tactical pause, like you're saying, like, if you're in an argument or you're in a circumstance where you feel yourself in fight or flight, and arguments will put us in fight or flight, getting cut off in traffic will put us in fight or flight. Like, if you're just willing to take a tactical pause and allow oxygen to re-enter the brain, get out of the amygdala, get back into the frontal lobe, that is where you will respond versus react. Where we are living in a society right now where people, they immediately react to something and they fail to respond, and there's a big difference.
Oh yeah.
And slow, smooth is fast, proper preparation, and then acknowledging the things that you do have control over versus things you don't, and then just realizing that when it comes to fear is a feeling, and feelings are just a thought, and thoughts are just that. They're just a thought, right? So you can put them in compartments. You say, this feeling is just a thought, and I don't have to give that thought any power.
Right.
It's time to work.
Yeah, you can control your thoughts, right? Fear is a feeling, and feeling is a thought, and you can control your thoughts.
Yeah, it's wild when it's as simple as that. When you break it down, just like that, like very granular, it's so simple to be like, oh, you know what? I didn't have to react like that. I didn't have to act like that.
I did it today. I did it today in the car, right? I had a couple of things that just kind of kept like piling on through the day, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do this, and then something else came, and then I got a call about this. The next thing you know, I feel like myself getting very frustrated when you're right. It's okay. Just take a couple of deep breaths, sit back. Is this really worth, right? Because 90% of the time, it's not worth the emotion, right? I mean, there's very few things that are worth, getting frustrated for. But it's funny that you had said the slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And you had mentioned that it's applicable in all aspects of life. And it's very funny because that is literally what we say on the golf course. Okay, is what your swing. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Yeah. And then you have a good swing. And I'm like, it's a totally different area. Yeah. But it still applies.
100%.
Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast.
Yeah, it's
funny how that works, right?
When you're in that headspace, I always feel like I'm in an emotional roller coaster eternally. Like you're super like anxiety, you're super worried, and then you're like, you know what? It's okay. It's not that bad. You can figure it out. And it's like, and you're like, fuck. When am I just gonna get down and just chill? But yeah. Now I did want to ask. We talked, prior to this, but
the narcotics question.
You were dabbling for your profession, obviously. You were dabbling in some methamphetamines to kind of being a narcotics detective. You got to know what you're working with, and you said that you were very successful at making some narcotics. Very proud of it.
Yeah. So tell us about this, because I was not aware that this was
a thing,
part of becoming a member of the narcotics team. So tell us about this methamphetamine creation that you had to undergo.
Yeah. I am a very skilled methamphetamine cook, and I'm very proud of the certificate that hangs on the wall today. It's not a prerequisite of being in NARC. I was fortunate enough to go. So I was selected for a school in Quantico, Virginia, at DEA's headquarters, and it was a clan lab school. So essentially, it was how to basically serve a search warrant in a place where meth is being cooked, because it's very volatile, right? And you have houses that literally explode and kill everybody in it and kill everybody around it when that happens. And so there's a lot of things you need to be very aware of when it comes to being in that environment. And you can't just walk in there without protective gear. So when we would serve warrants in a place where there was a lab and a cook, you have to get full protective PPE, the respirators, the air tanks, and then you have to put on your plates, and you have to run a gun. And running a long gun when you got a little window to look through in a face mask, and then going hands on with people, it's as you can imagine, a whole different game. And like being quiet and stealth and like fighting with people in tight spaces when you got an air tank on, and you don't want to lose your mask, because then you're taking in all the toxins, and you think you got things like fentanyl these days. But man, we it was a couple weeks long. We got trained up in all kinds of things, and part of it too is when you're in there, you need to help the detectives build the case. So you're serving a warrant. You've gone to a judge. You've told the judge that there is reason to believe that a lab is happening, and now you need to be looking for stuff. So you need to know what to look for. And not everything is like there's stuff isn't like just labeled, methamphetamine.
Here's a jar of
right?
methamphetamine right here on the kitchen table.
yeah.
Look here,
so
look here.
Mm-hmm. So there's a section within the DEA where, you go and you get all the ingredients, you get the matchsticks, you get the acetone, you get the, batteries, you get all the different things that you need to make the chemical reaction happen. And it is mind blowing that people can put this shit in their bodies and survive it. It's insane. But yeah, we had to, on 2 different occasions, we had to cook it from the ingredients sitting on the shelf all the way to testing 97% pure, in order to graduate from this course. So we had to do it twice to make sure the first time wasn't just a fluke. And, I'm very happy to say 98% is what I hit.
Walter White in the flesh, baby.
Yeah, The only thing we missed was the glow sticks or whatever.
Right.
Sure. Just spice it up. Yeah.
And the storage unit of $1 billion. Sure.
Now, does it have a distinct smell? Can you smell it when you walk in? Does it smell bad? Like what's that like?
So, what does have a very distinct smell is heroin. What's even more distinctly smelly than heroin is heroin that is in a chick vagina from Portland to Idaho. I can tell you that story after this if you want.
Oh my! Wait,
that's a good story.
Wait a second.
It's just like we're all over that.
You can't just like cruise past that. Like you didn't just say what you just said. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So there was.
You could tell, man, for days.
There was a chick that was smuggling heroin.
Yeah.
In her
where the sun don't shine.
Well, if you want the details of it, and your listeners want to tune in for this part, here's the fun thing. So
I want to hear about
this will be a little extra clip. All right, there's a little extra clip here. We might have to remove this. We might have to remove this from the YouTube, otherwise, because this will definitely not get monetized. But this will be an extra clip
for educational purposes only.
Your premium subscribers. This is all hypothetical. So the case officer had information that this chick was going up to Portland, grabbing a bunch of heroin and then bringing it back. And through the CI, the confidential informant, it was that she was bringing it back in her vagina. And, about an ounce or golf ball size of heroin, that's a lot of heroin when you consider that just a little flick of it is like a one-time use still. So we get word that she's going to Portland. So we have units follow her out there, sit on the place. She's with a guy, and the deal happens. It's confirmed, and they're on their way back. So they cross back into Idaho's border. We find them, we tail them, and just as they're pulling into the house, because we also had a warrant on the house, we take them down. And so we arrest them both, and we bring the dude back to the station for an interview. Now, what we had observed happen numerous times along the way in the other units following was they would pull over multiple times. And because you can't just like stop behind him, like, hey, what are you doing? People would pass it, the undercovers would pass, and they'd be like, hey, they're stopped. And come to find out, what was happening is she would get uncomfortable, so she would pull it out within a condom. They would take a flick of it. They would use it. They would both use, and she's like, "Hey, I'm uncomfortable. It's your turn now." So he takes it, puts it in his ass. They merge safely back onto the highway, signals and all, and they keep driving higher and higher on heroin. Until we take them off. So now we've got her in the interview room, and the case officer comes in, and I'm in there, and he says, look, we know where it's at. And here's a warrant for your vagina. He actually went to the judge that we have all this probable cause. The judge signed a warrant for her vagina.
No way.
Yeah.
That's public property right now.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't even know that they could
that belonged to the government.
I didn't even know they could do that.
That's crazy. That's
so did
awesome.
they get a warrant for his asshole too?
No, we didn't know about her ass buddy until that time. So
I can't imagine that stench.
Oh my, that is wild.
So here's how this whole thing ties back into your original question about smell. So heroin naturally smells like vinegar, and it's got a very vinegary smell to it. Now, when you take vinegar and it's inserted into either an asshole or vagina for 9 hours, whatever the trip was, back and forth, it tends to get other flavors involved. So we got it in
Let's call it scent. Let's call it scents, not flavors.
Yeah.
Let's call it scents.
Yeah, we can call it whatever
aromas.
You want to call it.
Aromas, all right.
Very, very different than an essential oil, that's for sure. So it's in this big paper bag. So you basically, you got one or two options. We can take you to the hospital, and a hospital staff is you're going to get pinned down to a bed. It's coming out. We have a warrant. We have the right to do this, or you can take it out. So she reaches down and just pops it out, and she pops it into a big paper bag. And because cops are assholes and have a kind of a dark sense of humor, there's a couple of rookies that come in. And one of the case guys like, hey, you ever smelled heroin before? And you got to know what it smells like so you can testify. You got to be able to testify to this in court. If you ever see it, you got to know they're going to ask. So they're like, no. And so these little rookies, and he opens the bag up, and they pop their head in, and he goes, woof, and he whiffs the bag.
Oh my!
Right in your face, just like Mike Tyson, baby, punching you right in the face.
Very valuable lessons. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Very valuable lessons. Those two guys, they got seasoned very quickly in a couple of different ways.
They singed their eyebrows off.
My God.
Oh, yeah.
Wow!
Mm-hmm. That is one of the wildest stories I've ever heard.
Okay, that's a good cop story. We always hear the cop stories, but that's a good one for sure.
That is a wild. First off, passing it back. It's your turn. No, it's your turn. No, it's your turn. No, it's your turn.
Yeah.
Just going back.
Yeah.
Oh my! And then, hey, we got a warrant for your vagina. What? Mm-hmm. Could you imagine bringing that to the judge here? Hey, judge, this is where we think it is. I need you to sign this. He's reading it. Must search what? Yeah, we got to search. Yeah. Okay, fine. Here you go.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, signed, till delivered.
Oh,
and,
man.
To that case officer's credit, he wasn't wrong.
God bless.
Got to do what you got to do, man.
That's why.
But you solved the case.
We appreciate that type of service.
Holy
that's right.
crap.
Now, going from that life, the crazy SWAT, narcotics, all these different interactions.
Getting to the business side now. The business.
Now, when was the day you woke up, you planted your feet on the ground, and you're like, all right, I'm out, and I'm going to start to be an entrepreneur and go on the business side of the world. Like, what was that like? Where did it start?
That is a completely uprooting what you know.
Because I'm sure you took all the things that you learned in your life, in your career as in law enforcement to business. Obviously you own a couple different businesses that look like the things that you utilized in your past that you're using now. But, what was that transition like? What were the thoughts? How did that all start?
Yeah, man. So, we were going down to Southern California for a wedding. At this point, I'd been in law enforcement for a while, and my brother-in-law was getting married, and it was in Newport Beach. There was a little bike shop right there next to the boardwalk, and my wife and I go in there to rent a couple bikes. And prior to this, I had never thought about becoming an entrepreneur. I didn't actually think I was going to be able to retire from the profession because the profession is it was something I was like, I love getting into the shit too much, and that's not good for business when it comes to politics and law enforcement. There's politics involved. So I started to wonder internally if this was going to be a profession I was going to be able to even retire from and survive. And so that loop had started to play. But when we went down to Southern California, we're in this bike shop. It was owned by a retired firefighter, and it just so happened it came up that he was selling it. And I was like, oh, well, what are you selling it for? And I think $60,000 was what he wanted for this business. And I look at Chris, and
what year was this?
This was in 2013.
Okay.
Early.
I just wanted to get a reference of $60,000 to buy a business. Was this $60,000 in like '95? Was this $60,000 last year?
Yeah. So $60,000 then is probably $280,000 today. But
which is still not still not that bad for a whole business.
No,
for a
it
whole
wasn't.
business.
But here's the reason why it was the way it was, and the reason why it didn't happen. Because California, I don't know if you guys have heard, but their taxes are a little bit silly down there.
Yeah, I mean, we're from New York, so it kind of, same. We're in the same boat. We get it, okay?
Yeah. So the guy's like, look, he's like, you just got to know that because of our taxes being the way they are, that the revenue isn't really, the real revenue isn't reflected in the books, because I got to, the government looks at the books and the IRS and the taxes things like. And this is primarily a cash business. So, without coming out and saying I'm committing tax fraud, he was saying, look, don't expect to see you in the books what the exact thing. You just have to take my word for it. And I'm like, well, okay, that's kind of a red flag. But then, he went a little further. And he's like, and I built out the upstairs to living quarters, and the city doesn't know I live here. But, I do. And it's everything. We got a kitchen, we got a bathroom. And now our son is like, a couple of years old at this point. And I look at Chris, I'm like, well, okay, so there's some tax fraud involved, but look, we could live like literally on the beach in Newport. Like, let's maybe think about this. She's like, no, like we're not doing this. Like, her dad comes in.
You go from law enforcement to now committing tax fraud. Like, no.
Yeah. The fact that it even crossed my mind is a little bit concerning, but ultimately, I decided, that's not the way to go. We can't do that. But the entire drive home, the wheels were turning. And I was thinking, man, what is it that I could do? And what could I bring forward? And what I knew was special operations at that point. Had been in that world for 5 years and quite a bit of experience. So I'm thinking, Idaho is a very pro Second Amendment, very pro self-defense, very pro, firearm state. And there's a lot of people out there who have guns that really, they have them because they can, but if they were to need them, they have no fucking clue what they can and cannot do with them. And so what if I started a training business and I modeled it after some of the high level training places that I've trained in with the team. And so that's what we built. Essentially, we called it forward movement training. It was a 30,000 inside, 30,000 outside training village, and it looked like a movie set inside. 2,200 square foot house, 5-bedroom, 2-bath, 2 stories, a bank, fully built out bank, low light house, mat room, shooting simulator, vehicles. I mean, it was full of all built for force on force. So the closest thing you can do in force or shooting type training is either what's called UTM rounds or simunition. And these are marking rounds that they fly out of the gun at 60, 80 feet per second. And when they hit you, if they hit bare skin, it'll break the skin. And it'll definitely leave welts all over the place. And so you're taught the lesson, like you were shot. And if you were shot in a critical area or not.
But it obviously doesn't, cause any real harm. It's like kind of getting hit with a paintball, or it's going to break the skin. It's going to leave a big ass welt, but it's not going to, puncture a lung or something.
It could. We did have a lady that she took her glove off mid training course, and it hit the side of her hand, went into her hand, and then lodged underneath, and she had to have it surgically removed. So it definitely could break the skin if you were close enough proximity. I mean, these things were mean, but it's as close as you can get to being an actual real gunfight. And you will fight how you train, so you must train how you will fight. And so these gave us the tools to do that.
So you built this entire town that people could go to war in this town. Yeah. Like, hey, there's a bunch of red guys and there's a bunch of blue guys, and so that's I mean, right off the cuff, that kind of sounds like fun. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like a little bit of fun. I mean, yes, it's gonna hurt, you get shot, but that kind of sounds like a little bit of fun, if you ask me.
Yeah, it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. I mean, it's like paintball on steroids.
For sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like the ultimate game as an adult of like that cat and mouse, right? Like you're gonna that seek and destroy, only the strong survive. So
it's like playing real life Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It's real life Call of Duty.
And you're using real weapons. So you just change out the bolt carrier group in your long gun, your rifle, which is just like the section inside of the rifle itself. With the firing pin, everything else about the rifle is the exact thing. It is your rifle that you're running.
So does it
the upper receiver?
Does it fire and recoil the same as a regular bullet?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty damn close without the actual bang, because it's all primer driven.
Right.
But yeah, it has to actually cycle the gun, because you don't change the springs out or anything. Like, it actually has enough power to cycle the gun the same way a live round is. So you get all the recoil and the feedback that you do in a real engagement.
Now, did you also do was it like, could you go in as a solo person and you have stations like, hey, you have to go into this house and knock down 5 targets, go into this building, did you do that type of training as well? Yeah.
So a lot of, like, you either wake up in the middle of the night and there's like ruffling or something, and there's a reason why you got to go check out your house because you got kids or something, and you're not going to just go back to bed after you hear something crash. And so you grab a pistol, you got to check it out. And so we could do it low light, where you shut the lights off and do it with either a flashlight or like ambient light.
Oh, wow.
We could do it. You came home and, you're not sure somebody broke in, like the door is just ajar, so it doesn't rise to the level of calling the cop. And, so you are going to check it out, but you see what you see. Yeah. We had a whole host of different kinds of scenarios. And for anybody, if there's anybody that's listening that has a firearm in any capacity, vehicle, you carry it, open carry, can still carry it in the home, any capacity where you would find a self-defense in a circumstance to that weapon, you've got to get this kind of training. You've got to find somebody that does it, and you got to get it.
Yeah, so you're engaging in like real life situations.
I was just going to ask, do you still do that training?
No.
Do you know of people that still do that throughout the country? Yeah.
So there's a really solid outfit called Sheepdog Response. And they have a whole community. The dude's name is John Lovell. And this guy's a former Ranger, I believe. And he's got a super solid program. So he does it. Tim Kennedy, he's got his Sheepdog Response. Wait, no, I said the first one was Sheepdog. Tim's is Sheepdog Response. The other one is the, oh shit, it'll come to me. John Lovell's program. Anyways, yeah, there's those two for sure. John Lovell. John Lovell. Lovell.
John Lovell. Warrior Poet?
Yeah, Warrior Poet Society. That's the one.
There it is. Yeah, Warrior Poet Society.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
All right, so you're basically similar to your training in the SWAT. You're kind of, getting your mindset, your body ready for any kind of real life scenario if you had to protect you and your family in your home, in the public. I never thought those things existed.
No, that's actually, that's amazing, because to your point is there's a lot of people that will own weapons just for the sake of, having some sort of home protection, but don't know how to use it and don't know. Yeah. And even if they do know how to use it, they don't know how to, maneuver around your house and use it in a way that you're not endangering anybody else. Right? Like, for instance, if you have a shotgun, right? Like, I own a shotgun, okay? But you're not going to unload, like, buckshot or birdshot, like, into your living room, because you're just going to, or a slug, and you're going to just completely blow the entire wall out, and you'll probably hit people on the other side of the wall and into the next house. Like, you can't just blow a hole in your, like, you have to, there's certain...
You got to know what you're doing, yeah.
Yeah, you got to know what you're doing.
Do you have kids?
I do not yet.
Okay. Anybody else in the house besides you that lives there?
Yes, me, my wife, and my sister.
Your sister. Okay. So, depending on how much you like your sister, on that particular day, if you were to hear a crash in the middle of the night, and let's say that the sister is out, like she's on vacation, she's not there, it's just you and your wife, there's literally no reason for you to do anything other than just park your wife in some other safe part of the room, point your shotgun at the door,
right,
and call 911, right? You don't need to go searching around the place and stuff. And so we would teach people that kind of stuff, because a lot of people go to the range, and what they do is they shoot static targets. They shoot paper that's not yelling at them, moving around, causing any kind of problems, doesn't put you in fight or flight. And that, as you can imagine, is very different than having some robber or some person that's breaking your house. And if they're breaking your house at 3 a.m, when the car's on the driveway and there's a very high probability that people are in the house, chances are they're not just after the property. Chances are they're willing to interact with and engage with anybody that's in there. And that's a very different scenario. You're not preparing yourself for a home invasion if all you're doing is going to the range and shooting static targets. You gotta see you gotta know what it feels like to see another human being on the other end, on the business end of your barrel.
Right.
If the first time you're ever processing, do I shoot or not shoot in a real circumstance, and the first time you're ever seeing a person on the other end of your sight is in a real deal, good luck to you. But there's plenty of people in prison that they just buckled under pressure. They made the wrong call. They didn't have any, intentions of hurting the wrong person, but that's what, manslaughter is, right? It's killing somebody without any malice and intent. So unfortunately people get jammed up for that.
So let me ask you this. I have two questions. First, the comment is, we were interviewing, oh crap, what's his name? Michael Marsh. You remember Michael Marsh?
Yeah, for sure.
So we were interviewing him, and this was before
our project grad.
Yeah, Michael Marsh.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we
great guy.
And I was talking to him about, this was before I had purchased my shotgun. And I was asking him, about, because he's a big gun enthusiast, and I was asking him, and he was saying, listen, he goes, you get a shotgun. He goes, you don't even need bullets if the whole thing is for home protection. He goes, the one thing about the shotgun that is so effective is not the bullets. It's the
racking it.
He goes, if somebody comes into your house and they hear, they go 90% of the time, unless they are packing heat too, but 90% they're going to be out. Okay. You don't even need to use it, because just that sound alone, hey, listen, I have a gun. It's loaded. I'm ready to use it. They're gone. So that's my comment. My question is, one, if in that scenario, your wife, hey, you're in this corner. You stay over there. I'm standing here. I'm pointing at the door. What type of ammunition do you use in that scenario? Do you use slugs, buckshot, birdshot? What do you use? Birdshot.
Birdshot. Yep.
Okay.
There's no over penetration you got to worry about in that scenario. In the standard distance, it's not going to have the spread to where it's going to do anything other than just leave like a bowling ball size,
radius.
Radius, yeah, in the dude's chest or whatever, right? So, and anything that kind of flies by, unless there's somebody directly behind him and things, is going to be okay. But slugs, that's a problem. That'll go through and through. That'll go through the person, through the walls, exit. No need for a slug. And buck is, that's just a little heavy. You're not going to get as big of a spread. So birdshot's great. If that's what you're doing, if you're just parking it, pointing at the door, and should somebody, breach that door, fail to leave, I agree with Mike with the racking thing. That's like a universal language of get the fuck out.
Right.
Right. That's a universal language. Doesn't matter who they pray to, what language they speak. You hear that noise and you know what that means. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to just like bail. I wouldn't put my life, my family's life on that bluff. I'm going to have some rounds, but,
right.
I agree that there's something very powerful about that noise.
So now my second question is, so I imagine that in that scenario, right, that's where there's nobody else in the house, you're parking and you're pointing, and that's that. But if you need to maneuver around the house, I imagine that it's not very easy with a long gun. This is where you would need a handgun, because it's much easier to make corners. You're not going to turn, click, fire, and blow freaking a hole in the wall. Yeah. So is that accurate? My thinking that in that case you wouldn't walk around with your shotgun, you would walk around with a handgun.
Totally. Yeah, 100%. My gun of choice, and you'll get people that'll give you all kinds of their take on it. But I'm a Glock guy, because Glock, they don't malfunction. They don't care what kind of ammunition in it. They just always function. And so a Glock 17 is like our go-to, and we've got a few of those around. And because you can easily maneuver that, the weapons retention is easier. I had, when I was in SWAT, just to give you an example of like what happens is, we had a warrant for a dude, and we knock on the door. It's a double wide trailer. The dude's dad answers. He says, the guy's not home. We said, can we check? And he's like, yeah, you can check. I don't know why he said we could check. But he said yes. And so we're searching around. I get into the little bathroom, and I don't know how much time you guys spend in a little, trailer, but that space is not big. So I walk in and I see that the curtain, like the plastic curtain, is like pulled halfway down, and I just got that sense. Like the spidey senses just started tingling. I'm like, fuck, I bet you he's on the other side of that curtain. And there's no space there. Once you get to that space, like the wall is right there, and then there's the little shower tub thing. And so I recess that gun in as tight to my body as I can. And when you're that close, like you don't have to, you can just point and click when you're like standing,
right,
toe to toe with somebody. So I recess it all the way into my side, and I pull the curtain and I twist in, and sure enough, there's the dude, and the fight was on. And so because I had a handgun, I was able to holster it, and then it just turned into like a physical match. If he had a knife, or if he had anything else, I could have easily fired. And so that's a reason right there. You have closets, you have shower curtains, you have all kinds of small spaces where you don't want to be over penetrating. If I had my long gun and I'm coming around the corner, he could grab that barrel, and now he's got full capability of that weapon, and it's no good to me, right? So you definitely want a shorty if you're going to have to go and start searching small spaces.
Wow. Yeah, that's unfortunately it takes a little bit longer in New York to get a handgun permit, but
yeah, it took my buddy like 2.5 years to get it.
Yeah, it takes a little long, but
it's got to be a felony just for us to be having this conversation with you guys.
Gotta be.
Probably.
It's gotta be.
Jeez.
Probably.
Yeah.
Now where does Fit Pro Tracker come in all of this? Because this is your main business, if I'm not mistaken. This is the golden goose.
It's one of them.
Yeah.
It's one of them.
It's one of them.
Several.
It's one of the 8-figure businesses.
I should say it's one of the more cash cows, if I read my articles correctly.
Yeah. So let me back up a little bit, because the first couple of years of owning a business, and this is really important. First of all, for people who are first responders, it is completely possible to leave the profession and find yourself becoming a very successful entrepreneur. And I will argue all day long that there is nothing like being an entrepreneur. There is no other pathway to be able to provide for your family the way that you can as an entrepreneur, to create time wealth, freedom wealth, be able to do what you want when you want, and create generational impact and legacy like being an entrepreneur. And so I get to enjoy, my family gets to enjoy things that we never would be possible if I stayed in the profession. That said, we need people in the profession, but I have found that it has been very inspirational to people who are in a profession where they want to leave, and they're not sure that there's a pathway to success as an entrepreneur. And there absolutely is. My first couple of years, though, that being said, were very, very painful. I made the mistake of thinking that just simply working hard, and because I knew special operations well, would translate into being a successful entrepreneur. And it turns out there's far more that goes into success when you own your own business than just being a hard worker and a great technician, right? You got to be a great manager, a great leader, a great visionary. So the first couple of years were very, very challenging. And there was a moment in 2017 where we got a call that there was some heavy hitting entrepreneurs that were coming into town. And are you guys familiar with ClickFunnels? That software, ClickFunnels, where you're able to like make for getting people to funnel through your program and purchase. You guys familiar with that?
Like a search engine optimization type of thing?
No, you don't need to have any ability to create a website. And this software it allows for you to create your own website where you can have buttons that eventually take you to a checkout page that you can offer something. And if they don't take it, you can offer them a cross sell or a down sell or an upsell.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of, there's a few website building platforms that are probably similar to ClickFunnels. I've never actually used ClickFunnels, but I'm familiar with the process. Yeah. It helps for the people that have no idea how to build a website. It helps create one. Here's your checkout page. Here's your button. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Check it out. You guys will love it. But there was this event because Russell Brunson, the creator of it, he lives here locally. So these 5 guys, all I knew is they flew in their own private jet. They were coming to this event and they were looking for something to do. They were shooters. And so they come in, and for the first time, I found myself having a conversation with entrepreneurs that were on a completely different hemisphere as me. Like they were the amount of impact they were having, the amount of people they were employing, the amount of wealth they were creating, time wealth, money wealth, was just like on a completely different hemisphere. And I'm thinking, dude, I'm doing entrepreneurism all wrong. Like I am thinking too small, dreaming too small, and achieving way too small.
How many years into being an entrepreneur were you before this 2017, before these guys from ClickFunnels came in?
4 years.
3.
3?
Yeah. We opened up in end of 2013. Beginning of 2014. So this was about 3 years. So
okay.
Yep. And in those 3 years, man, I'll tell you, like we had to sell our homes to pay the bills. My wife and I, because of the stress of not having money and robbing Peter to pay Paul, like financially we were a mess. Credit, we were a mess. My weight was out of control.
And you had a kid, right?
Yeah, our son. Yeah, he was growing up in that space.
That just multiplies it by tenfold.
Oh, 100%. And I'll tell you that there was a moment where we sold both of our homes. We owned 2 beautiful homes. One of them had been a rental for like 8 years and was creating awesome passive income. We had to sell our first home. It was a custom built home to be able to take the equity and be able to pay. We were getting eviction notices from the landlord because it was about a $30,000 per month nut we had to meet just to break even. So we take the equity, we start using that. That didn't create enough runway for long enough for us. So we had to sell our second home. We ended up in a townhouse, and our son in the kitchen one day, he came up to me and said, "Dad, I don't feel like I have a home." And he wasn't saying it to be mean. He was, let's see, 5 maybe so. But I remember it was like, he might as well have gone to the drawer, pulled out a steak knife and just lodged it through my chest, right? So as a father, as a husband, as a protector, provider, looking at my little son's eyes, knowing he was not saying that to be mean or hurtful, but that was just how he felt, and knowing what I went through, and it hit me. I'm like, this little boy is moving around from one place to the next, just the way that I had to, because I haven't got my shit together. And so that's where I really started going down the path of personal development, and started to choose the people I started to hang around more wisely, and started to realize that I was playing at like a 4 or a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. I wanted the lifestyle and the opportunities of entrepreneurs at a 9 or 10, but I was playing at a 4 or 5. And so it hit me. And from that moment, it developed this rage in my belly, and like this chip on my shoulder, that from that moment through today and through the moment that I die, I will use as a mechanism to never go back to that place again, and to only produce the things that are in my family's best interest. So that had happened, and then shortly after, these guys come rolling in, and I had this next real like epiphany, which was, I'm playing too small, thinking too small, dreaming too small. My goals are too small, and I'm achieving at a level that I don't have to be if I'm willing to start like taking shit seriously, taking myself seriously. Stop playing that fake it till you make it thing, and really just start following the clues of success. Like looking at the people who've already been where I was and were then where I wanted to be, and like, what did they do? And these guys represented that. And so then I started just focusing on people that I could consider mentors from afar, right? I read their books, listen to their podcasts, go to their YouTube, and just pay attention. And I just started doing what other successful people started doing. And so from 2017 to 2019, we were able to completely turn the business around, sell the business off. We donated the village to the sheriff's office, which even today is still the head training quarters for the Ada County Sheriff's Office, which is the largest department in the state.
Was that business that you had to sell? Was that the compound that you had for the training?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we sold off the civilian portion, like all the civilian training, all of those kinds of things. We carved that out. We sold that to a guy that was with the CIA at that time and was ready to stop deploying, and so he bought that piece, donated the Scenario Village, And then that took us to Southern California. And because of job opportunity there, so one of these guys tapped me and said, "Hey, you want to come down and work with me?" We did. We went all in with that, and I knew that in going down there, that was going to give us an opportunity to start to learn and be in closer proximity of nines and tens, and that if I would continue to earn my seat at the table and pay my dues, I would go from a 4 to a 5 to a 7 or an 8, and then a 9 or a 10 eventually. And that's the process that started happening, man. It's really not that complicated. It's really that easy. Follow the clues of success. I did that for a couple of years, and then what happened was I got tapped by the owner of Fitbro Chakra, the software company, and was offered a position as executive vice president of the company. And initially, I was like, I don't know, I mean, it's really the space. And he's like, well, look, we have a target valuation of $100 million. We're looking to get there within the next 24 to 36 months, and we will give you equity in the company. And so I took the number that they were offering, I multiplied that times the target valuation, 100 million, and it was multiple 7 figures that my exit would be at the time of acquisition. So I accepted the deal. That was about a year and a half or so ago, maybe getting a little bit closer to 2 years.
Wow.
And we're well on our way. So in that same period, I started the business coaching because I always wanted to give back. The way I was mentored and the way that I was able to be helped from that really painful place, I wanted to do that for other entrepreneurs and give back. Use all the pains and successes of my first business, everything I've learned the years after that, and that took off. And that I've been doing that for the last 3 years, and has then led to, I think we're up to 5 different companies now that we're either involved with or have ownership in all of them.
And one of the as I'm learning about your story, one of them is like relationship coaching or relationship, spouse and being in business. So I'm taking that's your way of giving back of what you learned throughout your life. This is your way. This is your business of giving that back to, be more successful in business, but also with your relationships.
Yeah, man. So that's called the Ubuntu community. So Ubuntu is an African proverb, and it
how do you spell that?
UBUNTU.
BUNTU. And then what is your
Ubuntu?
What's your business coaching? Business
Ignition year coaching.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, you got it
right there.
Ignition year. Yeah. Coaching.
Yep. So that's for companies looking to scale. Break either the 6-figure, 7-figure mark, and we've had massive success with that. That has been a really fun journey. And so we got that locked down. Now I've got 2 other coaches that do the training or the coaching as part of it to help scale that piece out of it. These guys are very high level guys. One's an MD, oral surgeon. The one 23 years as an executive in 2 of the largest privately held companies in the country. His last role up to about 6 months ago was managing a P&L of over 200 million a month. 200 million a year and 300 people under his leadership. And he left that and is now coaching under me. So we've got some really high level people doing that, which has freed me up to start this couples community. So Ubuntu, it translates to I am because we are. And it is my way of making a difference in people's relationships. Divorce is something that is happening far too much. And what I witnessed when I was younger was that the problem with our circumstance was every time things got tough and they were hard, my mom chose to take the easy path. Mm. So rather than work on the relationship, rather than work on herself or her husband working on himself and resolving the deal, they would divorce. And this cycle repeated over and over again. And when you choose the easy path, hard does follow. Like hard comes afterwards. And that is what continued to follow my entire childhood. And I became committed, absolutely committed to break that cycle. So my wife and I, we just celebrated 17 years married, 20 years together. My son will never know.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, fellas. Yeah, my son will never ever know what I felt and dealt with. So we broke that cycle. We'll forever break that cycle. We'll always choose hard over easy and do the hard things. And the reality is, in the vast majority of circumstances where people are getting divorced, they don't have to. They can reconcile. But, there's 3 relationships in every single relationship. There's the one that you have with yourself, the one that your spouse has with themselves, and then the one that you have together. Right? And the journey must be that you prioritize yourself to get whole, to get healthy, to get optimized, mind, body, soul, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and your spouse does the same. And when you do that, you're then able to bring your fullest self to the relationship and make the relationship something that it could not be without each person being the best version of themselves. So this community, we focus on health, wealth, and relationships are our 3 pillars. And it's all about just achieving more together, accomplishing more together, big dreams, big aspirations, 9s and 10s, hanging around with other 9s and 10s and people that want to become a 9 and 10, joining the community and leveling up and just accomplishing more in this short life that we have, and leaving as big as footprint, large of impact as they can, all the while having a kick-ass time.
Oh yeah,
in their marriage.
Now, do you have? I imagine you do, but do you have couples that are in both programs, like in the relationship program and in your business training?
In the coaching, yeah, I do. In fact, it's because the coaching started first. It's been cool. There's one coaching client just to kind of demonstrate how badass the things are with this whole deal. Is I've had a coaching client. He owns 4 or 5 very successful companies. I mean, each one of them is doing multiple $1 million in revenue a year. And one in particular, like he's building out an apartment complex, and this is like a $200 million project or something. And he's been a coaching client for probably just over a year now. And him and his wife, they live in Colorado. They came to our event that we did last month in June, the Ignite Their Life Experience, and immediately joined the community from that event. And now we leave for Arizona. We're going to Scottsdale tomorrow. We're spending 10 days down there, and we have a pop-up event down there in Scottsdale. And they're coming to that too. So not only do I have clients that longtime coaching clients that join the community, but they're also like, it's awesome, dude. When you have people that go all in on their personal development, the shit that happens in the places they go, especially as a couple, is incredible.
Wow.
So wait, so you're going to be in Scottsdale. When do you leave?
Tomorrow for 10 days.
Tomorrow for 10 days. So you'll be there from the 17th to the 27th?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's
guess what? We'll both be down there at the same time.
We'll both be there at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Scottsdale?
Yeah.
I got a bachelor party in Scottsdale, and he's got
a friend of ours. A friend of ours is turning 40, and she's having a bunch of her friends fly out to spend a little time out there.
Oh,
so
no kidding.
Maybe we'll cross paths. Maybe we'll have to meet up for a smoke at some time if he can find some time out of his schedule.
I got Sunday. I have a red eye at 12 o'clock at night, so I have the whole day basically to myself. I'm actually trying to. I don't know if you follow Brendan Tatum on YouTube. He's a big. He was once a cop, and now he's a big political figure on YouTube. But
okay,
he follows me on Instagram, and we talk every now and then. So I've been trying to meet with him in person. So I told him, hey, I'm going to be in Scottsdale. I have Sunday all day to myself. So, hey, if I can get Brendan Tatum and Matt Schneider in one cigar lounge, that's a fucking good day.
Yeah,
dude, man,
that would be awesome. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome, man. Let's definitely connect.
Absolutely,
let's definitely do it.
I'll have to see him.
This is
Brandon Tatum.
If you're on YouTube or Instagram, it's Brendan Tatum or
Officer Tatum.
Officer Tatum.
Yeah.
He's really popular in the political space now. He's born and raised in Arizona. He was a cop. He just came out with a book called Black and Blue or Beating Black and Blue or something like that. But he's super successful. He's all over the place, and he does a lot of good things. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna see if we can see if we can connect. I'll have to. It's for my wife's friend, so I'll have to see if
business meeting. Come on.
Yeah, but I'm there for my wife, so I have to make sure that, listen, honey.
It's part of our dreams. Come on.
Yeah, you got to take care of the wife, but then if there's an opportunity to make this thing a write-off because we talk business, then let's make it a write-off.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean,
baby.
you never know. Yeah, this is why you got to start hanging out more 9s and 10s.
Yeah, man.
I like the way that the 9s and 10s think.
I agree, man. I agree. You got to figure out how we can take off our cigar business.
I love it. Yeah, actually, that is definitely because we have our this business. This is the business that we're ultimately trying to grow to the point where we no longer have to work our 9 to 5s that just kind of pay the bills at the moment.
Totally.
So we'd love to, obviously we appreciate you getting on our show and talking with us, and we'll have to, take this maybe offline and we'll talk a little bit more business but that's I would love to connect in Scottsdale. I would love to meet you in person.
If we can do that for sure, that'd be a good opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be super cool. We'll make Ray jealous.
It's actually right. It's actually kind of funny because I just was going to Arizona for a birthday, and he's like, when can we meet in this? I said, actually, I'm going to Arizona on this week. He goes, wait, when are you going? I said, I'm going this weekend. He goes, I'll be there the same time. I was like, where are you going? He goes, I'm going to Scottsdale. I was like, well, where are you staying? He goes, I'm staying at this place. His house is like 10 minutes up the road from me.
Oh, no
So
shit.
now it's
That
funny.
is
You're like,
awesome.
oh, yeah, I'm going to be at Arizona. So it must be something in the air that everybody wants to go to Arizona this weekend.
It is.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, there's something in that 120-degree air that we're all.
I love Scottsdale. I went there a couple years ago for my bachelor party, and even though it's crazy hot, I mean, it's so much better than New York hot. It's like
I don't know, man. 120 hot is hot.
Well, I mean, we were on the golf course. It was like
where you
108 degrees, and I was like, "This is okay," but it's a good party town. It's fun.
Yeah, man. We'll get if we get together, we'll get Elliot Schwartz. So Elliot Schwartz, he's he and his wife, Lindsay Schwartz, he was a keynote at her event, and both of them are just badasses. And in fact, we are one of the things that we are involved with is they've got a luxury home equity fund that we are a part of with them.
Okay.
And that they are an amazing couple. Now, Lindsay's got her big event, Powerhouse Women event, that my wife and Bridget are headed to. But Elliot, like, we're gonna go shooting. We're gonna go float the river. We're gonna do some stuff. So I'd love to get you introduced to him.
Yeah,
he's got a podcast too. You guys would love, called Jacked and Happy.
Yeah, hell, is he a cigar smoker too?
I'm going to say yes because he's awesome.
Speaking of that, let's get a couple questions, just around cigars here. Like, why do you like cigars? What got you into it?
Well, first off, what do you think of the blueprint?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I need the link. I need to get myself a box of 3.
Well, believe it or not, our cigars are sold online in Arizona, and you can
For
get
tax purposes.
But we use this company called flyingcigars.com, and we like them, obviously, one, because of Arizona and the tax, but they donate a portion of their profits to veterans.
I think 10% of all profits go to
all kind of military background and organizations, which is cool.
Right on.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
we can send you the
awesome.
link.
So
Absolutely.
how did you get into cigars? I mean, do you remember your first cigar? Do you remember like what you did? Who did somebody introduce you? Did you just pick it up out of a whim? Tell us that story.
Yeah. So, I had a buddy that was with the sheriff's office, and he was big into cigars, and he was talking about the art of cigars and the craftsmanship of them. And I found myself being really intrigued by the journey that the tobacco leaves go and how they come together from around the world, and how you have these the history. It's a lot like wine, right? It's like it's an art and it's a science. And so the first one I ever had was the Oliva. And
great brand. We love Olivas. Oliva's a great brand.
Yeah. Light wrapper. Great introduction. But I'm like, man, this is fun, man. You get to like kind of chill out. You got to kind of take like an hour and just kind of hang out. And then I went to a cigar shop, and I was like, dude, there's some cool people that hang around at the cigar shop, man. Like, I was talking to like Vietnam vets, and they're talking about this time this thing happened, and
Yeah.
and just like very welcoming and stuff, and it was cool because the guy was from New York, so you'd walk in and his real thick New York accent, he'd be like, it's over there, and he's like, I'm like, well, what do I get? He's like, and so like no time for nothing, but like he's playing in solitaire on the computer. It was awesome. But he had this really cool spot where you'd sit down, and then his daughter owned the bar next door, and they put a door in between. So you go over there. He didn't have a liquor license, but she did. And what he allowed was that you could go to the bar and you could bring one into so you'd have some drinks and some cigars. You meet some cool people, and I'm like, this is a cool culture. And that was over 10 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's you meet. I mean, we say it all the time, but you meet some of the best people, some of the best conversations.
I mean, look at what we're having right now. We get to meet you because of cigars.
Yeah,
we like cigars. You like cigars. Next thing you know, we're having a great conversation.
It's a chain link. I mean, if you really want to go about it, we got in front of Ray Care because he was smoking cigars. My buddy was just like, "Oh, I saw him on Instagram smoking cigars. Reach out to him." And then one thing led to another. But you meet all different walks of life. Whether you're at a party, at a lounge, in a public area smoking cigars. And it doesn't matter, your race, your creed, your background. You're all there for one reason, and everyone has their interesting story. And like you said, the community is very welcoming. There's not really too many communities where you can go into and squeak. And, you can just feel like you don't even know this person, and you can just open a conversation. We use the example all the time of like, if I was like, "Hey, Matt, come talk to me outside," you'd be like, what the fuck's this guy gonna talk to me about? Or if I was like, "Hey, Matt, you want to have a cigar outside?" You'd be like, "All right, yeah, let's do that." So it's a very interesting dynamic, and it's a very niche industry where a lot of the people in this industry are just very good people with no real agendas, and they just want to sit back, relax, and just enjoy the company that they're with.
And you can meet. Talking about hanging out with 9s and 10s. You can meet some 9s and 10s in a cigar lounge and have some great business conversations, with potential business partners over a cigar, right? One of our local lounges, can't tell you how many times you see business deals going down. A couple of guys in the back, they sitting around the table, they're all having a cigar, they're drawing up their plans, or even, out on the golf course, you have some executives, you're having a cigar, you're playing some golf. You meet a lot of 9 and 10s in this culture.
You do. In fact, you've had a gal on your show. Her name is Hannah Martinez. And good looking redhead.
Yep.
Her husband is
Rojo
Jeff.
Corojo, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
They're in Idaho.
Yep. So Jeff is a black belt at the jiu-jitsu gym.
Oh wow.
And she's just recently gotten into it. Her and my wife, they mix it up on a regular basis. She's actually getting ready for her first tournament.
No
way.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What a
so
small world, man.
Yeah, short some love. She's a beast too. I'll tell you, she is a beast. And Jeff is a badass, and he's the GM of a cigar shop called The Vault. Well, the other day my wife and I, this like 2 days ago, we got these badass e-bikes, the Super 73s, like the on-road, off-road, full suspension. And so we live right by the Greenbelt, right on the Greenbelt. And so we'll shoot downtown. And anyways, we decided to pop in, and as soon as we walk in, there's a guy and a super cool dude. He's like, "What's going on?" And he's sitting at, cornered up on the bar with some guy. He's like, "I just met this guy named Jerry. Jerry's got a doctorate in organizational health and conflict resolution." So, to your point about the business conversation. So we grab some Whistle Pig Old Fashions, which the go-to over there with a stick. And dude, for like an hour and a half, I ended up smoking. I bought a box of the Padron 1964 anniversaries, which are one of my go-tos, and we just I went through 2 of them during this conversation with the 4 of us, and it was awesome. I'd never met this guy. It was cool, and because we're on e-bikes, I was able to enjoy some old fashions with it. And,
yeah, man. See, it's amazing, right? How everything, a cigar brings people together, man.
So many stories,
Love it.
And I try to compare it to like other industries, like you can't like there's no fitness, like there's nothing in the fitness industry that people can go meet at gyms and talk about. It's like because like to that point is you go to
I mean, the fitness industry is great industry. People trying to build each other up, and everybody's just trying to better themselves physically and mentally. But when you go to a gym, you're not going to the gym to sit down and have a conversation with. You're going to the gym to work. Yeah. You're going to the gym to clear your thoughts. You're going to the gym to build some muscle, to lose some fat, to get better cardio. You're not going there to sit down and have a conversation for an hour.
Yeah, totally. So, totally. You want to be left alone at the gym. You go to the cigar shop because you want to meet people and have some cool conversations. Yeah,
exactly. Totally. I remember time in the gym where I had my headphones in and it was leg day, and I remember. I was underneath the bar. I had the bar on my shoulders. I'm ready to take the bar off the rack, and my headphones are in, which is the universal sign of "don't fucking bother me."
Not even that. You got the bar on your shoulders.
I'm telling you, it was in there, right? And this was like a heavy leg day. So now I'm prior to getting under the bar. I'm looking at the bar and I'm taking deep breaths. I'm doing like some of the quick ones, like try to really flood your body with oxygen. And I'm yelling at myself. I'm getting ready. I get under there. I get the bar on my shoulders. And all of a sudden, I feel a tap on my shoulder.
Hey, buddy.
And the guy comes. He goes, and I instantly so I'm like, what? He goes, I wanted to know how many sets you have left. Can I work in? I go, are you? Because now I got to reset. Now I got to reset.
Come on,
I said,
son.
dude, the headphones are in. Don't talk to me, okay?
Come on.
You couldn't wait the 1 minute for me to finish this set, and then I would have told, that was my last set. I'm done. Oh.
Yeah.
But to your point, cigar lounge, come on, talk to me. Yeah. Everybody, come sit right next to me. Come on.
Totally.
Yeah, I always like to say, not that I want this, but you could have political debates inside a cigar lounge because there's no hostility. There's no, it's just conversation, A and B, just talking it out.
And it kind of goes back to your point of what you had mentioned earlier in our conversation, where when you feel like your emotions are getting the best of you and you feel yourself getting riled up, you take some big deep breaths and it settles everything down. That's a beautiful thing about cigars, is when you're smoking a cigar, your heart rate is not being elevated. You're not like really breathing. You're breathing very slowly. You're relaxing. You're sitting down and enjoying it. Yeah. So all of the conversations that come out of those situations are just, they're flowing, they're casual, they're productive. There's no hostility. You're not getting all like agitated. You're relaxed. And those are the best conversations. Like you said, if you ever get into an argument, some of the best things is take that tactical pause, take a couple deep breaths, reset. But you're constantly doing that when you're smoking a cigar. Absolutely. You're always taking deep breaths. And
absolutely.
You know what would be cool? You guys have never done this. I would tune in for sure. You guys ever had somebody on that did like a pairing, right? Like, there's a whole process that I learned recently from my buddy Craig on, how to actually, pair either a bourbon or whiskey or whatever with a cigar, and that is an art form in and of itself, right?
Yes.
The whole thing. And if you guys ever had somebody on that like took us through that process, with like what would pair best with your cigar, the blueprint, that has this profile and so this and this is how you do it. Stuff. I was talking to Jeff actually this morning after jiu-jitsu. He's like, hey, you want to blow your mind? He's like, get some dark chocolate. He's like, chew it up and then just let a little bit sit on the roof of your mouth and then take a puff of cigar to blow your mind.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
It's a whole art, man. It's a whole art. It's crazy.
We've done a couple of short videos of the basics on how to pair, right? You're pairing the bodies, right? You don't want to, like, for instance, you like those Padrones. You wouldn't smoke a Padron if you're having a light beer or you're having a
champagne or a white wine.
You'd probably pair that with a bourbon, which is why you were drinking those old fashions, right? Because the flavors are very similar. But you're right; it can go very deep into matching flavors, or for instance, like with food too, right? We were just at a restaurant in New Jersey where you can smoke and eat in the restaurant, and if, for instance, you're having a steak. Right? The steak that we were smoking our cigar and we were eating steak, and the steak was rich, oily, had a little bit of salt on it. You took a bite of that steak and then you took a puff of the cigar, and the cigar is kind of peppery, a little bit of kind of velvety and dry, and it cuts right through that.
My stomach's empty. Stop.
And we're sitting there. I'm like, wow, this is this is a nice pairing. They complement each
Yeah.
other. The oils, you get a
Yeah.
little bit of the pepper. It's just, yeah, that'd be cool. I wonder who.
We can get on
I
there.
wonder if there's somebody that's
Even if you,
certified in something,
they
like
have-
a mixologist who smokes. You know,
They have like even if you want to do on your own leisure, they have like these tasting kits, and you can buy them, and they'll have like it kind of looks like a vitamin tray, and they'll have like one with cinnamon, one with chocolate, one with nuts, one with cedar, and when you smoke a cigar, you can kind of smell the different flavors, and each time you take a puff of the cigar and you smell something else, it's a different experience every single time. It's very bizarre.
Yeah. Well, think about it. We'll talk about this offline, but I'm going to say it here so I get credit when this happens and you guys kill it. But put together like a little sampling thing, right? It's got a blueprint in it. It's got some different chocolates in it. It's got some different things that you want to pair, like I don't know, apricot. I don't know. I need this because I don't know how to do this shit.
Yeah.
You do a webinar, right? So basically, you say, hey, here's the bottle, whatever you go get, and then here's the stuff, and then you have somebody on and through a webinar, so they buy the thing. That's where you make a little money. The webinar itself is free. But you bring on somebody cool who could walk people through it and like the order of things and the how and the why. You could teach people stuff that they didn't know. Like me, I've been doing this for a decade, smoking cigars for a decade, and just this morning heard about the chocolate on the roof thing. And I would tune in for that, man. I would buy one of these sample kits and learn from somebody that knew how to pair it and how to do it and when and the order of operations of things. And then, if there happened to be a promo code in there for a box of cigars, for attending the webinar,
no doubt.
then
man,
maybe you'll sell a box or two.
See, I'm writing all. You guys see the list that I have of notes here.
Hanging out with 9 to 10s.
That's it.
These are the ideas we get, baby.
I love it. I love it, man. That's a great. Yeah, that's a great. Almost like a class. Like, hey, would you like to learn a little bit more about the pairing of cigars? Take this class. That's cool, man. Love that. Love that idea.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that.
Well, listen, Matt. It's been hour and 40 minutes. We'll probably have to have you back on for a part 2 of this. This has been fun. We really, really, really do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us. We've learned a lot about you. Had a great conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. But thank you again, Matt. We wish you the best. This is the time that we give you the red carpet to plug away, tell everybody where they can find you, what programs you got, what's coming in the future. The floor is yours. Yeah, man, I appreciate it. First, thank you for the cigar. It was awesome, and paired with the conversation, I can tell you that made that time, that hour and 40 some odd minutes, just cruise by. As far as where to find me, I'm on IG primarily. I'm also on LinkedIn if you're in that space as well. You're a business owner and you want to scale to that multiple 6 figures or 7 figures and beyond. Check out Ignition Your Coaching. All the links are on my IG, and I'm sure they'll be in the show notes as well. And then if you're married, there's no reason why you shouldn't be putting in the effort into becoming the best version of yourself while your spouse does the same, and then leveling up together. And the Ubuntu community is a community full of 9s and 10s, people who are unsatisfied with what is, and realize that the best is always yet to come. And the power of proximity is very, very true. And when you surround yourself around others who are high achievers, high thinkers, high doers, doors open that you don't even realize are possible. And that's what's going on in Ubuntu. And all of that stuff can be found in the link on my IG, or again, I'm sure it'll probably be in the show notes.
Yeah,
as well.
we'll put the links in all the descriptions for sure, so people can check it out easily. But Matt, we appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. Hopefully, we can try and meet up in a couple of weeks or next week when we're in Arizona. But we'll leave you off with our signature goodbye. It is on our T-shirt now. It's we like to say cheers, chin chin, salute. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Thank
Matt.
you.
Be good. Appreciate it, brother.